$1.3 million. That's the real cost of a habit almost nobody considers expensive. It never feels like $1 million decision in the moment. It feels smart, responsible, completely normal. You sign the paperwork, drive away, and from that very afternoon, a hidden meter starts running against you. Here's the strange part. The wealthiest people alive could pay for this thing in cash without blinking. Yet they're the ones who consistently refuse to. There are exactly 7 purchases like this that the rich quietly avoid, while the middle class buys nearly all of them on repeat for decades. Not out of foolishness, but because each one is engineered to feel like the obvious right choice in the moment. This isn't about skipping lattes or vacations. It's about 7 specific receipts that look completely harmless, yet quietly cost a fortune. We'll walk through all 7 with real numbers and figure out which ones might already be running in your own life, right now. The point isn't guilt over the past, it's catching the next one, before you sign. First, let's kill a myth. Rich people are not cheap. They spend enormous sums just on a completely different category of things. Nearly every purchase falls into one of 2 buckets. Things you buy once and they're done, or things you buy once and they keep billing you forever, with a monthly, maintenance, or depreciation tail attached. The wealthy have a single reflex before spending. After I pay for this, does it keep taking from me, or does it stop? If it keeps taking, they walk away no matter how appealing it feels. The middle class instead asks, "Can I afford the payment?" And that one word, payment, is the trap, because almost everything on this list is sold as a comfortable monthly number. Each of these 7 items carries a hidden second price, the sticker, and the tail behind it. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. It's sitting in your driveway, your closet, your inbox, 7 tails wagging at once, all feeding off the same paycheck. Consider a single $1,000. You can spend it on something that loses value, or something that earns. On day 1, those paths look almost identical. 10 years later, they're nowhere close. Money spent on a depreciating thing is gone, along with everything it could have grown into. Money spent on an owning asset comes back and multiplies. Economists call this the true price, the sticker, plus the opportunity cost of what that money could have become. Money compounds fast. At 8% a year, it roughly doubles every 9 years. So $1 spent at 30 is really $4 you'll never see at 60. Hold on to that 4-to-1 ratio. Every dollar leaking out of one of these 7 purchases doesn't leak once. It leaks 4 times over a working life. That's why the rich guard small decisions so fiercely. They're protecting the 400 it eventually becomes. None of these purchases feel like losing money. They feel like gaining something. A nicer car, peace of mind, protection, a dream home. Marketing never sells the cost, it sells the feeling, hiding the tail behind a monthly number, small enough to say yes to. $12 a month sounds like nothing, but invested for 30 years, it becomes real money. The rich simply never let the word payment switch their math off. Meet 4 ordinary people, about to make these exact decisions. Diana, 34, drives an hour each way to work. Maya, 28, just furnished her first real apartment. Carla, 32, recently sat down with a friendly advisor, selling her a plan for the future. Mark, 35, just got approved for far more house than he expected. None of them are reckless. Each made the responsible-looking choice. By every visible measure, they're doing fine. Good jobs, decent income, saving a little each month. They aren't cautionary tales. They're the median, most of us. That's exactly the problem. These 7 purchases don't punish the careless. They punish the responsible people who can almost afford it. Let's run the numbers on all 7, one at a time. Number 1, a brand new car bought off the lot. Watch Diana. She drives 2 hours a day, so a reliable car isn't a luxury, it's a tool. Fair enough. So she buys new, $35,000, 0 miles, that new car smell, what the salesman never mentions. The instant she drives off the lot, the car is worth about $28,000, a $7,000 loss, in the length of one drive home. That's not exaggeration. New cars drop roughly 20% in year one, and by year 5 have shed about 60% of their value. Her $35,000 car is now worth roughly $14,000, and she paid full price to watch it melt. The wealthy almost never do this. Research behind The Millionaire Next Door found about 37% of millionaires bought their cars used, and 61% of wealthy drivers were in Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords. Not because they couldn't afford new, but because they refused to buy the steepest slice of the depreciation curve, letting someone else eat the first 60%. Buy the same car at 3 years old, let it depreciate slowly, and drive it for 10 years. Same reliability, a fraction of the loss. The road doesn't know what you paid for the car. The dealership just needs someone to absorb that depreciation, and the rich simply make sure it's never them. The tail, the gap between constantly buying new cars versus driving good used ones, runs about $5,000 a year. Invested at 8% over 40 years, that becomes roughly $1.3 million. The very million-dollar habit from the opening. It was the car all along. Diana didn't buy a car. She bought a comfortable, leather-seated leak, draining $5,000 a year for the rest of her driving life. The rich saw the leak. She saw the smell. Number 2, the extended warranty. Maya just bought a new TV and laptop, and at checkout, a calm voice asks if she'd like to protect her purchase. It feels responsible, like being a careful adult. In reality, extended warranties are among the most profitable products a store can sell, and that profit comes straight from you. The numbers are brutal. On many plans, less than 20 cents of every dollar you pay ever comes back as an actual repair. One major retailer paid out only about 16 cents on the dollar, keeping over 60% as pure profit. A researcher found shoppers behave as if gadgets fail far more often than they do, acting like the failure rate is 13% when it's really around 5%. The warranty isn't selling protection, it's selling marked up fear. What the rich do instead is self-insure, skip every warranty, keep that money in their own account. And since most products never break, when something occasionally does, they simply pay from that pile. Still far ahead overall. Essentially, they become their own insurance company and keep the profit margin for themselves. Think about the logic. If warranties were actually a good deal for you, stores wouldn't push them so hard. Stores don't beg you into deals that cost them money. So the harder something is sold to you, the worse it usually is for you. That one rule cuts through almost every upsell you'll ever face. The tail looks small, $30 here, $200 there, but a household says yes to these constantly, across phones, appliances, cars, and electronics, adding up to roughly $300 a year in pure fear tax. Invested over a working life, that quiet yes at the register is worth tens of thousands of dollars. Maya thought she bought peace of mind. She actually funded the store's vacation. Number 3, whole life insurance sold as an investment. Carla sat across from a friendly advisor who said the magic words that close millions of these deals. It's life insurance, it builds cash value, and it's an investment, all in one. Sounds brilliant. What he glossed over, whole life premiums, can cost 5 to 15 times more than simple term insurance for identical coverage. In the first year, 50 to 80% of what Carla pays doesn't protect her family or grow at all. It pays commission. It can take 10 to 15 years just to break even on the cash value, which then crawls along at only 2 to 3% a year, while the market has historically returned 7 to 10%. Run the real numbers, and the gap is staggering. Take the roughly $470 a month difference between whole life and term, invested at 7%, and after 30 years, it grows to about $590,000. The whole life cash value, over the same period, is only around $180,000. The same money, but a $400,000 difference. That's why the wealthy do the boring thing: buy cheap term insurance for actual protection, then invest the huge difference themselves, keeping insurance and investing in separate boxes, because bolting them together lets someone else pocket the seam. Notice, too, who's always in the room selling whole life: a commission salesman, not a fee-only advisor. The product paying the biggest commission gets pushed the hardest. That's not coincidence. It's the whole business model, with a friendly smile. This tale isn't $30 at a register. It's $400 every single month, for decades, quietly underperforming. Carla didn't buy security. She bought a slow-growing account with a salesman permanently attached to it. Number 4, lottery tickets bought as a plan. A $2 ticket for fun is harmless entertainment. No lecture needed. The real trap is when the ticket becomes an actual strategy, someone's real retirement plan. And the data behind that is heartbreaking. The poorest households in America spend roughly 33 times more of their income on lottery tickets than the richest households do. In the poorest neighborhoods, the average adult spends close to $600 a year, nearly 5% of income, chasing a number, while the wealthiest spend about $150, a rounding error by comparison. Think about that gap. The people who can least afford to lose are betting the most, and the odds don't care about anyone's hope. Powerball odds sit around 1 in 292 million. Statistically, you're closer to never needing the money at all than to ever actually winning it. The rich treat the lottery exactly as it is: a voluntary tax on bad math. They don't buy hope by the ticket. They buy ownership by the share. Here's the cruelest part of the tale. That same $600 a year, invested instead from age 25 to 65, even at a modest return, grows into well over $100,000. The lottery promised a jackpot and quietly took one. The rich never buy a ticket instead of a plan. They simply are the plan. This is the one that should make us angry rather than amused. The lottery market's hardest in the neighborhoods that can least survive the loss. Selling a dream to people the system has already failed and calling it harmless fun. The rich aren't smarter here. They're simply never the target. Number 5. The storage unit, rented to hold things you'll never use again. It's sneaky because it doesn't even feel like a purchase. You just need somewhere for the couch, the boxes, the exercise bike, a lifetime of, maybe someday items. So you rent a unit at roughly $85 a month, on average. Here's what that meter actually does. The average renter keeps a unit around 14 and a half months, but millions keep theirs for years, even decades, long after forgetting what's inside. At $85 a month, that's over $1,000 a year to store objects that, added together, are usually worth less than the rent paid to keep them. Premium rent, paid every month, on regret. Self-storage is a $23 billion industry built almost entirely on one feeling: I might need it someday. The rich think the opposite direction: space costs money, so everything you own keeps costing money, even after you've paid for it. They'd rather sell the couch and donate the boxes than pay rent on the past forever. They own less on purpose because everything you keep keeps charging you. The tail, $1,000 a year for 10 or 20 years, plus everything that money could have earned instead. People routinely spend more storing old furniture than that furniture originally cost, brand new. The rich never rent a room for their regret. They simply let it go. There's a deeper cost underneath the rent. Every stored box represents a decision you refuse to make. Keep it or lose it. Quietly charged to your card every month until you finally face it. The storage unit isn't really selling space. It's selling permission to never decide. Number 6. The loud logo, the status symbol bought to look like you've already arrived. This is the most human one. No judgment here, since everyone wants to look like they're doing well. But watch the difference. The middle class often buys the logo itself, the giant brand name, the flashy badge, whose entire value is that others recognize the price. The catch is brutal. You pay the most for the version that screams the loudest, and screaming has zero resale value. The truly wealthy tend to do the opposite, favoring quiet luxury, quality you can feel but can't necessarily identify, like well-made shoes that last a decade, or a plain coat with no visible label, bought for how it wears rather than how it announces itself. The irony writes itself. The person shouting their wealth through logos is usually the one who can least afford to. Real money rarely needs a billboard. The tale here is subtle. A logo costs a premium today and is worth nothing tomorrow, while a well-made unbranded version often costs less, lasts longer, and quietly saves you the eventual upgrade. Multiplied across a closet and a lifetime of wanting to be seen, that's thousands of dollars spent renting other people's approval. The rich stopped paying for the logo the moment they realized the logo was paying the brand, not them. The real trap is the upgrade cycle. Loud trends die fast. So this year's badge quietly embarrasses you in 2 years, so you buy again. Quiet quality just keeps working season after season, never needing replacement. One closet is basically a subscription. The other is a single purchase that actually ends. Number 7. The big one, the most expensive item on this whole list, and the one best disguised as success: too much house. Mark just got approved, and the bank smiled and told him he qualifies for far more than he expected. That word, qualify, quietly turned a ceiling into a target. The classic advice whispers, buy as much house as you can afford. But the rich hear that and run, because a bigger house isn't just a bigger payment. It's a bigger everything, forever. Property taxes scale with the house, so does insurance, so does maintenance. Typically 1 to 2% of the home's value every year. Bigger rooms pull in more furniture, and bigger everything quietly pulls in more spending. The house reaches into every other category of your life and turns the dial up. That is the tale, and it is enormous. The difference between the house Mark qualifies for and the house he actually needs might look like just a few hundred extra dollars a month in mortgage, but it becomes thousands a year once you add the taxes, upkeep, furnishing, and the sheer gravity of a bigger life. The wealthy buy less house than they can afford, on purpose, letting the gap go to work in investments that pay them instead of billing them. A right-sized home is simply a place to live. A maxed-out home is a beautiful cage with a 30-year lease. Mark thought he was buying success. He was actually signing up to fund the bank's success for 3 decades. The rich never buy the most house they can. They buy the least house they need and keep the freedom. Freedom is the real asset here. A smaller mortgage means more room to invest, more room to walk away from a job that's killing you, more room to breathe when life gets unexpectedly expensive. A maxed-out house quietly takes all of that flexibility and locks it inside its walls. You can't eat square footage, and you can't retire on a guest room you use twice a year. Here's the twist that reframes everything. Go back through all 7, the new car, the warranty, the whole life policy, the lottery ticket, the storage unit, the loud logo, the oversized house. Every single one shares a hidden feature. None of them end when you pay for them. They keep charging you month after month, long after the excitement fades. That's the secret pattern. The rich aren't avoiding these things because they're expensive. Some of them are actually cheap. They avoid them because each one has a tail that never stops wagging. And here's what almost nobody tells you. The wealthy actually spend a lot, sometimes lavishly. But look closely at what they spend it on. They happily overpay for things that give time back, pay up for assets that appreciate, invest heavily in their own health, skills, and ownership stakes, and gladly write big checks for anything that either ends cleanly or pays them back. What they flatly refuse to do is rent status by the month. The whole philosophy fits in one line. The rich don't buy things that cost them forever. They buy things that pay them forever. The middle class gets sold a steady stream of small, individually reasonable payments. The rich see those same payments as tiny pipes draining a reservoir that should instead be filling. Same income, same starting point, same 40 years of work, yet the entire gap between scraping by and being genuinely free comes down to one invisible thing: the direction your money flows after the purchase, either out every month into someone else's business or back every month into your own. None of this requires being cheap. It just requires asking one question every time, at the register, the dealership, or the advisor's office. After I pay for this, does it stop or does it keep taking? Ask that consistently, and most of this list quietly disappears from your life. The most expensive word in personal finance was never a price. It was payment, because a payment is simply a tail you agreed to keep feeding. The beautiful part is how simple the fix actually is. You don't need a finance degree or a bigger salary first. You need one habit. Turn every payment back into a real price, calculate the full lifetime cost of the thing, and ask where the money goes after you say yes. Now look at your own life, not with shame, but with clarity. How many of these 7 are quietly running right now? The car still melting in value, the warranties you forgot you bought, the policy that's really a slow-growth account, the storage unit holding boxes you can't even name, the house a bit bigger than your life actually needed? Most people carry at least 2 or 3 of these without ever noticing the tail. The good news hiding in that is that every one of these is reversible. You can stop feeding a tail the same week you spot it, sell the thing, cancel the plan, right-size the dream, redirect the payment into something that pays you back instead. That's the entire move the wealthy made. Not more income, not a secret investment, not luck, just better questions, asked earlier, before the pen touches the paper. The most important financial decision you'll ever make isn't which stock to pick. It's learning to tell the difference between a purchase that ends and a purchase that never stops taking. Do that, and your money finally starts flowing in the right direction toward you. And next time a salesman tells you it's only a small monthly payment, ask the one question that ends the conversation. After I pay for this, does it ever stop? Here's the truth. Underneath all 7 of these purchases, the only thing the rich can buy that you can't is the discipline to walk away from a good-feeling payment. That discipline isn't for sale at any dealership, register, or advisor's office. You build it for free, one question at a time. Ask it today, ask it tomorrow, and ask it the next time something shiny tries to become a monthly habit. After I pay for this, does it ever stop taking? That single question is the cheapest wealth-building tool you will ever own.